Today I have a versus video on the Samsung Odyssey line of monitors, the G70A 28-inch versus the G7 32-inch, IPS versus VA, 28 inches versus 32 inches, 4K versus 1440p. Hi friends and welcome to Viktors Reality. Today I'll be showing you how the Black Equalizer in conjunction with the local dimming make this Innolux IPS panel one of the best panels on the market today for perceived contrast. We'll also be taking a quick look on viewing angles on the G70A. Here I show you how to turn the G70A's IPS real contrast from a zero to a hero, and how overall the G70A is what I call Next Generation IPS technology. Let's get into it. So I'll be having a couple of trailers and videos showing you here the contrast power of both panels. Yes, the G70A 28-inch is rated at 300 nits in brightness versus the G7 32-inch's VA 350 nits in nits power, and there are certain scenes where the 350 does jump to 400 plus, and you will be able to see that, and I will show you that. But here I'm showing you both screens of Persona 5, and in sometimes they look even in brightness, but you do see the overall power of the G7 VA depth. That's the main word here. The panel depth of the G7 32-inch is superior in every single way to the G70 28-inch. Here, looking at the G70A's wide viewing angles, it retains all the information from all angles, and you can see nobody beats IPS in wide viewing angle technology. It's crystal clear, and this panel is awesome for work and play. But the main attraction here of this video is to show you the awesome power of Black Equalizer with local dimming on. So I'm going to walk you through what I do to make these pictures look amazing, and how this Innolux IPS panel does go toe-to-toe even with the best VA panel on the market today, which is the Samsung VA 1000R curved panel. This Innolux panel is a winner. Remember, I do have the Gigabyte M28U, and this would in turn also be about the M28U's panel, as it's the same Innolux panel as the G70A. Of course, with minor tweaks of each manufacturer in the settings, they do things a little different, but we will get to that in another versus video. Right here, we'll stick to these two. Now you can see here what I have is Black Equalizer on 20, which is the highest, which is the most contrast, but local dimming is off. And I also have it on the G7 at Black Equalizer at 11 with local dimming off. I'm showing you here both panels with local dimming off. It's just pure brightness, no depth in either picture, and the reason why I have it on custom is to be able to control the Black Equalizer. As if you put it on cinema, it's stuck at 13, and that would give you the most contrast in image power and vividness power, but sometimes on camera it's a little too strong and it doesn't come out correctly. If you do have the G70A, try cinema. Sometimes it's a little too strong, like I said, but that's why I'm showing you on custom. And this video will be on custom for the majority, but look at the bottom of the screen, as I will have the preset showing on screen so you don't lose track of what I'm doing. So I have both menus up to show you what setting they're on. So what local dimming does is that it's able to dim the panel's brightness to almost off if there's nothing shown on the screen, something that the LG Nanotech IPS panels cannot do. They have local dimming, but it does not dim the picture whatsoever. Not as strong as these Innolux or VA panels. Again, that will be for another versus video. The local dimming on both of these panels do dim or turn off when there's nothing on screen. Now what the Black Equalizer does is it gives you that added contrast. And look what happens here with the strongest Black Equalizer on the G70A at 20 and the 11 on the G7. Look what happens when I turn on local dimming. Boom, part 2. It's magic. Just like my Gigabyte video. You can see that the G70A's local dimming is tighter. It looks to have more contrast. I believe because it's tighter, and that's the word I used. The local dimming is more controlled, but remember it is lower in brightness versus the G7's 500 plus nit in highlight SDR power. According to ratings.com, I'm telling you, I don't need to see numbers because I can visually see it. I know what the panels look like, I know what brightness there is. The G7 is a monster in SDR highlight power. So here you see local dimming on both, Black Equalizer at 20 on the G70A and 11 on the G7. Remember, if this is on cinema, it even looked better, and I'll show you that in a bit. Sometimes that doesn't come out too well on the camera, but I want to show you, look how black the IPS panel looks. Black is black, it can dim the picture. This is on Persona 5, the opening credits, again, if you have it at Black Equalizer 20, which to me is too strong. I would say 13 is the max. 13 to 15 is the max. Don't try to go higher than that. You may do a lot of crushing of your scene, but do what you gotta do. Whatever looks good to you is what rules. That's why I can only guide you. Your eyes are king, your eyes rule. Whatever looks good to you is what you do. It's very simple. So let's remove the menu so you can see how they look with local dimming on and Black Equalizer on 20 on the G70A and 11 on the G7. So what I'm gonna do now is show you how the Black Equalizer can make your IPS panel look almost VA-ish. Remember, this is with local dimming on and Black Equalizer at 4. This is with Black Equalizer at 8. This is where things get interesting. It starts getting better. Now this is with Black Equalizer at 10. It's starting to look really good. Now with Black Equalizer at 12, it's getting a lot better, way more contrast. And let's go to 20. Look how much black you see on that picture. It is even tighter than the G7. But remember, the G7 is way more brighter. And again, we will get to that in a bit. I do get a lot of comments saying, well, that IPS panel cannot look that good. I'm seriously telling you, follow these settings. You will get an amazing picture. The only thing that's limiting this panel, in my opinion, is total brightness. They have a hit with this Innolux IPS panel. If they would have just made it 50 to 100 nits brighter, I don't see how I would recommend another VA panel, as you get all the technology with this Innolux IPS panel, as you get tighter controlled local dimming, and the Black Equalizer is just as good than the Samsung's VA panel. Now this video is specifically for contrast, and imagine with much more dimming zones where it's more tighter. This is a no-brainer versus the LG 27GP950. You heard it here, and I'll say it again. I love every single panel that I have. I use them for different things. But after seeing the local dimming work with the Black Equalizer that the LG 27GP950 does not have and cannot achieve this level of contrast, a more overall funner picture in darkroom gaming would be the G70A Innolux IPS. I'm not saying the LG 27GP is inferior. I'm just telling you the contrast, or if you want to call it the perceived contrast. I'm showing you proof right here. The contrast is amazing with Black Equalizer and local dimming. Again, Black Equalizer not being as amazing on the LG 27GP950 as the G70. Right here, the contrast, the G70A wins versus the LGs, and it does win here in local dimming, tighter control is what I'm trying to show. But you know VA is VA. That would always have a deeper contrast than an IPS. It's just how the technology is built. But remember, what you're seeing here is not the full power of the G7 32-inch. Just give me a couple of more minutes and I'll show you how awesome the G7 32-inch can get. So to recap this part, this is with local dimming off, and here's when the magic happens. Local dimming on with Black Equalizer. And what you're seeing right now is my higher ISO on the camera. We don't see things this way. We're not gonna see the blooming on the left or on the right. Nobody would buy a monitor if you saw that blooming. That's crazy. And I'm gonna lower the ISO a bit just so you can get a better sense of how it looks in real world, but it's even better than what you're seeing right now. The local dimming power with the Black Equalizer that both Samsungs have here, also the Gigabyte M28U, is amazing. You need that feature. And here is the proof. Look how dark the IPS panel can get when it shuts off the local dimming. That is what you're seeing here. And that is something the LGs cannot do, and especially not to this degree. And I'll be showing you that very soon in the versus video. Here showing you more IPS versus VA contrast power. Now what I'll be doing here is keeping this on cinema preset on both. You can see the G7 32-inch is a deeper contrasty picture. Even though they both look beautiful, the G7 32-inch has more depth. It looks more 3D-ish. It looks glossy versus paper on the G70A. That's the best way I can put it. They both look amazing, but the G7 VA 32-inch panel wins. And here I'll be showing you some videos I've made with the Icebox Radio Theater. If you do want to hear those, check out the playlist, as I love my scary stories, and these are amazing scary stories. They're really cool. So check that out if you're interested. Here I'm showing you the contrast power of both panels. Now the G7 32-inch, while it's rated at 350 nits, when the local dimming kicks in cinema preset mode, it can get to 3900 to 1 contrast ratio. So the SDR peak highlights can reach 500 plus nits in power. That's crazy. That's why you want the G7 32-inch. Highlight power. No one comes close to the Samsung with the VA depth, not even the best IPS panels with amazing high brightness, because they can't dim, and plus IPS versus VA always wins on picture depth. But look at right here, look at the girl's face, everything is pretty, everything is beautiful. Look at the middle where that black area is, the VA wins easy. Now don't mind the color can always be changed. I'm trying to show you the differences on contrast. I am not showing you color. They both look alike, and to be honest, the G7 32-inch has more fuller, deeper color because of the VA contrast, plus the DCI-P3 color coverage is 95% on the Samsung G7 versus 90% on the G70A. So again, I'm not showing you color, I'm talking about contrast here in this video. Now this is another video to show you the contrast power of the G7 32-inch. So on the G70A 28-inch on the left, we have Cinema Preset mode, while on the right G7 32-inch VA panel, we have user mode with a Black Equalizer of 11. And right here, I'm going to show you the menu so you can see what I'm doing step by step. Black Equalizer at 11. Brightness, of course, on both is at 100, but again, Cinema Preset on the left, User Preset with Black Equalizer 11 on the right. Look what happens when I select Cinema Preset on the G70A. Look at the brightness and the total contrast power. You can see already, here's the menu showing you Black Equalizer again at 13, 100% brightness. But once the menu goes away, look how much brighter it is. It is crazy. You can easily tell, even if you just want to eye it. The one on the left is about 300, 320 nits, while the one on the right, it ain't no 350 nits. It is 400 plus, 450, maybe more. You can tell easily by the amount of piercing power that scene has. And look how much contrast you can see on the trees. That is the VA power that IPS panels cannot get. The IPS on the left cannot get this contrasty as they're vertical dimming zones. So while it can shut off when there's nothing on scene, when there's something, you can see where it says the and radio. You see that tree going up? Look at the IPS on the left and look at the VA on the right. Even with both on Cinema Preset, the VA wins easily, and that's at a higher brightness with a deeper black, because the VA is king in contrast, and this Samsung VA is king of contrast panels, easily handing the win to the G7 32-inch VA panel over the 28-inch IPS Innolux. So you see, friends, Cinema Preset is a whole nother world with contrast. Nothing can beat the Samsung VA panel, but I will tell you, the IPS Innolux G70A is amazing for what it does. I do wish it was a tad bit brighter, but you can see here is the visual proof. Cinema Preset on both. The Samsung Odyssey G7 32-inch wins easily. Now I know I've been doing all these tests, friends, for you all, and I do want you to know what you're getting yourself into. They're both amazing panels. And the thing is, these are in 4K, so the one on the left is 4K native, the one on the right is 1440p, but we're sending a 4K signal to it. And I will say, it does look a tad bit clearer on the G70A because it's native 4K, right? But I bet you 90% of everyone out there could easily mistake the G7 amazing picture for the same amount of density in pixels because they look so good. Sometimes it's not all about the pixels or the resolution. It's total image picture power. So here's showing more of the cinema contrast power on the G7 32-inch. As you can see, in this scene, it's really strong. Everything is a tint reddish or a tint warmer, while on the G70A, it does look more neutral even in Cinema Preset. So what we're gonna do now is go back to user mode on the G7 32-inch. As you can see, everything looks a lot more nicer. It's easier on the eyes. And the thing is, if you want more contrast, you can always go higher in Black Equalizer. I have it at 11 for the video, but you can go to 13 to 15 because the Black Equalizer in user mode is a little less aggressive than the Cinema Preset, because those are defined presets that Samsung sets and they're really strong. Who knows, maybe the Cinema Preset works differently than user with local dimming. That's another thing you gotta take into consideration. But I can tell you, if you want the most picture punch, Cinema Preset is the one. But personally, I go with user and I select my Black Equalizer to what I'm doing. I usually don't change it, but I would say between 11 and 13. But hey, if you gotta go more, you gotta go more, right? And the thing is, the local dimming on both panels really works only when there's peak highlights or SDR highlights, little pockets of brightness in a darkish screen. The G7 32-inch gets super bright, but sometimes it doesn't get that bright when it's a fully lit screen. There's some versus videos I've seen in Persona, Halo, where they both look almost exactly alike. Of course, the G7 32-inch always being a tad bit brighter, but it does look good because the Black Equalizer on the G70A just makes the picture look that good. It really does. And while I love both and I will use both for different situations, I will leave it up to you to say who the real winner was today. Leave a comment down below to let me know what you think on who the winner was. So friends, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope I was able to answer some questions and show you how the Black Equalizer works on these amazing panels. Many more videos coming up with different gameplay and situations to help you make an awesome buying decision. We got a lot more versus videos to come up. The G70A versus the LG 27G P950, the G70A versus the M28U, and one that's not going to be fair whatsoever, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Aorus FE43U versus the G70A 28-inch. That's going to be a crazy video because if you want to see 700 nits in full screen power versus 300 nits, that's the video to watch. I love my Samsung Odyssey G70A 28-inch 4K monitor. It's awesome. I'm going to play Xbox on it. I'm going to play 120Hz Vanguard coming out any day now. It's going to be awesome. This is a versus video, and what I can tell you is currently I would not trade my G7 32-inch for the IPS 28-inch. I wouldn't do it. But I am telling you that the 28-inch can go toe-to-toe in certain scenes versus the 32-inch, and it really depends on your budget. And I would say the overall main differences is brightness power on the G7 and the curve. Those are the two main issues that if you want those things, get the G7 and don't think twice. If you don't want the curve, get the G70A, you will be happy. If you don't have 70% brightness right now on the monitor right now that you're watching this on, or if you have a display in another room, go to your display. If you don't have 70% brightness right now, the G70A is more than perfect for you because you're not going to use that brightness power that the G7 has. Why are you going to pay for it if you're not going to use it? Now, the G70A is more expensive currently right now than the 32 inches in certain parts of the world. So again, friends, it all depends on what you need. IPS that looks almost like VA is where we're at right now in current technology. So friends, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did find it helpful, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you never miss out on a future Samsung Odyssey G70A 28-inch 4K IPS monitor or Samsung Odyssey G7 32-inch Samsung VA 1000R curved monitor. I'll see you guys next time.